Good morning and welcome to OSW Daily. This is a daily live stream brought to you by Open Source Workplace. My name is Steve Todd. I am the founder of Open Source Workplace. I'm also the global head of Workplace at NASDAQ. For you who have first come across the site, thank you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you taking the moment to sort of check us out, and hopefully you find value in what we're providing. And if you're a returning guest, you're going to notice a few things that are a little bit different that we're going to touch on just now, so that all the social media out there, all the unrest that you're hearing in the public is untrue. There has been no fallout between Steve Todd and DJ Mike Petresky. I can officially tell you that's not the case, but we're going to touch on that in a little bit second. So if you've just come across, as I said, look, Open Source Workplace, this is a open community. This is knowledge sharing all around work, workplace productivity, and employee experience. So if this is something that you like, something that you want to know more about, then please do subscribe and do check us out. What we do through OSW Daily is we basically scour the internet. We look at what are people talking about, and we then pull a few topics that people are interested in chatting about, and then we share that information. We provide a newsletter. The information comes out later. We also add in content from Open Source Workplace and a few other tips and some data points and statistics that you may find useful in your daily job. So as I said, there's a link below if you want to subscribe to that newsletter and get it. Also, we give all our first updates, new updates with exciting news coming next week. So do check out that link. Do drop us your email and you will receive that going forward. So yeah, I just want to touch on being here by myself, what sort of led to this situation, and also why continue to do an OSW Daily. So obviously Mike and I have been doing OSW Daily since March, end of March. I think it was March 25th was the first time we actually went live, and it was fantastic. I appreciated each morning connecting with Mike. I appreciated the dedication that we both needed to do to actually deliver a product, with the amount of research we had to do, with then also getting connect and also helping each other at a time when mentally, physically, emotionally, everything involved with COVID, the pandemic, lockdown, somebody to talk to, somebody to share ideas, think through, have thoughts, and big help with each other. Unfortunately, Mike, with the demands on his bandwidth, couldn't commit to doing OSW Daily each day. So, and obviously Mike, everyone who knows Mike knows that he is a very dedicated guy, and unfortunately he just felt he couldn't commit 100%. So he has assured me that he will come back as a guest and we'll do the odd appearance, which is fantastic. And obviously I'll reciprocate that, and I'll take the opportunity to be on his live stream too. So I want to thank Mike. I appreciate all he is. I appreciate who he is as a person, and I always appreciate his insights. So we continue to be in contact and we continue to chat. And yeah, so why then continue with this if it's just myself? And it's hard. I sort of battled with that myself. I said, so do I go live? Do I do a recorded video so that people can actually see a cut and edited version, or do I want to continue doing live? And I sort of went and with live because I want this to be interactive. I want people to be able to sort of feel, touch, and sort of be involved with this. I want to hear people's opinions. And, as most people know, on Source Workplace, we also do interviews. So I'm going to give all those people I interview an opportunity to come and join me, so that it isn't just a monologue. It actually is interactive. It is hear different opinions on the content of the day. So listen out for that, and you'll get to hear, and I'll do as much as I can to sort of socialize the guests that we have lined up. But what we're going to talk about today is it's kind of interesting. I've taken time away through the summer months to really sort of recharge my batteries. What's been really interesting with Open Source Workplace, I just looked at the statistics this morning just to sort of where's the website, how many people are visiting, and I was kind of taken aback that in the month of August, which is traditionally a really slow month, and one of the reasons why I actually pull back and don't spend so much time and give myself the time to recuperate, the actual amount of users in the month of August actually went up almost 15% from July. Now, I don't know whether more people took vacation in July. I don't know what that is, but actual usage is up. Page views are up almost 10% as well, month over month. So it shows there is an interest in open source workplace. There is an interest in the topics that actually are written about. So please do go over, check it out, have a look, and yeah, hopefully you find Open Source Workplace a useful tool and resource for you. Now, as I mentioned in the outset, Open Source Workplace is a it's a knowledge sharing program. It's a knowledge sharing website. It's a knowledge sharing community. And as I said, next week I'm going to bring another aspect to that. So please do keep a lookout, and you'll hear, and hopefully you come and be able to participate and take that sharing to a new level. Now, if you're watching, please do give me a thumbs up. Please do make a comment. Please let me know that people are interacting, and this isn't just a silly monologue that Steve's wasting his time. Whether or not he is, who knows? But it's things that we want to talk about today. There's two things that are really important. One is how consistent the content actually is these days. So we're going to talk about three pieces of content, three different sources: Financial Times, Fast Company, and USA Today. But they're all very alike, very similar, very much the same information. So you may ask, well, why are you bringing these three things together to talk about today? I said, because they're kind of the same, but they're also different perspectives, different viewpoints, and that's why it's important to bring things together and look things differently. But the fact that three publishers are actually talking about the same subject pretty much tells us that actually this is what everybody wants to hear. This is what everyone's focused on, and it's all around the future of work. And it's going to pull up the agenda, what we're going to run through here. So as I said, three pieces of content all around the workplace, all about the workplace of the future, all about the future of work and what that looks like. And then the last article we're going to talk about is accountability. And when people may ask, Steve, why are you doing this? Why are you still continue doing this live stream? It would have been easier for you to do something different, provide recorded things, continue with your interviews, and of course I'm going to do all that. But actually, accountability to myself is really important. I have to make myself accountable for what I do every day. I have to continue to be accountable in sort of making sure that I'm developing and I'm learning, and you need to be doing that too. And this article really talks about the 5 levels of accountability and how that actually has changed, and how COVID actually has really elevated an opportunity for many people who are accountable, who do have that mindset, who do provide company value, provide value for themselves, who want to continue to grow for themselves. So we're going to touch on that too. So the first piece of content I want to talk about is published in the Financial Times. This is our big chance to create workplaces. And there's two elements that I really want to talk about here. The one is the workplace is not so much about the physical location as a virtual space. Now, we kind of know this for a while, right? We've always talked about, people, place, and work isn't necessarily a place you go to, it's a thing you do. And I guess in this virtual world, we're actually seeing that more and more, and we're actually able to tangibly see that work isn't necessarily a location, but actually something that we do. And I want to talk about some of the elements of that. And then the second piece I want to talk about is the pandemic is the appreciate members' hidden skills. So in essence, we have traditionally all worked in the same office. Multinational companies will have offices all around the world, and sometimes it's not easy to assess or identify people's skills. But actually, in a pandemic, when everyone's working virtually, it actually is almost easier to see those who are committed, those who are prepared to go over and beyond, and the skills and the tenacity with which people move and work. So I think it's really important that we touch on those two elements. And the first one I really want to talk about is the actual physical space, and the ability to actually sit back and actually go, well, work is what we do. It isn't where we're at. A lot of people, again, we're going to talk about accountability later, but actually a lot of people find that actually not being in the office or visible by senior leadership or not being seen by their direct supervisor actually is a hindrance. But this virtual world has sort of eliminated that. So you could be sitting in a team in another location, and you're actually being noticed today. You're actually being able to see that who's working, who's not working. If you think about your own team, you think about the individuals who you interact with. If you think about those folks who are pulling the weight, those who are contributing, you know who they are. We all know who they are. Well, in previous world, in the real world, when everyone's in the office, did we really notice that? Did we really identify that. Maybe you did, but I think more we're taking a more subconscious view of it. I think we're taking a more we're noticing while we're maybe we're more quickly assessing those individuals, and I think it's really important to sort of touch on some of that. And then the hidden skills, you know, moving from a physical workplace to a virtual workplace takes a different type of personality. It takes a different type of skill set. And I think those who are adaptable have been more successful, I think, in this transition. I also believe there are individuals who have been able to demonstrate their skills beyond what they may have been able to do in the physical location. And we have to think about that. Think about the skills that your team have developed, right? You know, we often talked about people in the location, in an office, having, you know, presenteeism. So you're there, you may be in the office early, you may be there late. And, you know, those are the folks who tended to get the projects. That's the perception anyway. But in this actual hybrid organization that we're all talking about, hierarchy is actually less relevant today. And therefore, I think wherever you sit in the world, if you're actually adding value, you're delivering value, I think organizations, I think leaders, and I think managers are actually taking notice. And it's quite funny. If you look at this last sentence, the history of the future of work is full of false hopes, failed reforms, and promises to change that never seem to materialize. And if we think about, you know, the future of work, I don't know how many times I've looked at past articles, you know, 2018, 2019, 2020 future of work. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And the amount of things that we sort of false dawns that we did pick up. And we look at it today, what is the future of work? And we don't really know what it is. And I think this hybrid is what we're sort of moving to. And that's why I wanted to sort of move to the next article that was published in Fast Company, because I think this is a model that a lot of organizations are looking at. And if we take about the physical location and we take about where people are operating and people are working from home, you know, do we want to go into the actual physical office? Well, a JLL study said that 94% of people actually do want to go into a physical office. I think where there is resistance is large cities where people are relying on public transport to actually get to the office. So what are the barriers and how do you work through this? And what this article is talking about is multiple people giving a response and opinion on a hub and spoke model. So what is a hub and spoke model? Simply put, it's if we take the city of New York, organization may have an office in Manhattan. And then around that, they may have smaller offices where local teams can actually come and meet. And it could be in New Jersey, Connecticut, Long Island. And what this does, it takes resistance away from the commute, which seems to be the biggest barrier to entering the office, and actually allows people to actually visit a local office that they can drive to. They can actually safely manage and mitigate any concerns that they have and operate in that. So if we take, you know, as I said, the first article is actually talking about, okay, the some of the opportunities, the hidden skills. And then this is looking at, okay, so what does that look like? How do we get people back to an office, and what does that future look like? And if we think about the hybrid model, perhaps this is the hybrid model that organizations will be looking at and actually could adapt. And then moving on to the third article, again, the third related article. This is from USA Today, and this is really looking at some of the ways people communicate today in this virtual world. And it's looking at, okay, so how do people communicate today? How will that evolve over time? And also then what will happen when people get back to whatever world they want to operate in the future, be it a physical office, be it a hybrid, or be it work from home. And obviously it talks about the many platforms that are out there for virtual communications, Zoom, Skype, Teams, Google Meet, Cisco WebEx. There are many, and the products that these companies are providing are actually just they're being elevated almost every day, right? There are many ways you see how wonderful the Zoom meetings are, the different attributes that are being added to this, the Skype, Microsoft Teams, the way that program is developing, that product is developing is fantastic. And you know, this is actually really going to help elevate and also allow organizations and individuals to really truly assess their views on long-term working from home. And one thing that Zoom has recently just added is real-time audio transcription of the meeting, which, if you think about, you have a webinar, now you take the transcript, you can now share that with visitors, or if you're in a meeting and you're taking notes, now you can have those notes. If you're having, budget meetings, whatever it is, that's a really good thing to track. Just have to be more careful, I guess, what you say. Note to self. And the other thing is, if we think about the density of work, we think about the office. We talked last time about, the last article about that hub and spoke model, and we think about people want to get back to the office. That's where we're going to go. JLL have told us that. So how do we get back to the office, and then how does all this technology then play into people getting back to the office? And I think it's a really tough thing to mitigate, because I think the Zoom experience when everyone's at home is great. I think when there's a mix of people in an office, people at home, it then becomes a lot tougher and a lot more challenging. But I think that's something we have to look beyond just the video calls, and that's what this really talks about, this article. So do take a look at them, and do drop me a note in sort of what you think about these articles, what are the key takeaways, what are the concerns you have. There was one question that actually I did want to leave with you from these articles, and I'd really love to know your opinion. It's a tough thing to ask. It's a tough thing to really consider. What is, I guess I should tell you the question so that you can understand why I'm sort of pausing like this. So in this question, in this article, the question is: should employers force workers to get COVID-19 vaccine? I don't want to give an opinion. I have an opinion. I want to sort of hear your response, and I want to respond to that. And perhaps if we get enough response, I then can we can do a specific call on that. But I think if we think about it from an employer's perspective, we think about a team perspective, so everyone together, and we think about an individual, it's a really tough thing to answer. We all have a personal opinion on what we think about vaccines, but what's our responsibility to the companies? What's our company's responsibility to each individual team member, and how do we do that? So it's a really tough question, and it's not something I really want to talk about right now, because I really want to hear your opinion. So do shoot me your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts. So the last one I want to talk about is all about accountability. I think COVID has really challenged us to be accountable to ourselves first, and then to our teammates, to our employers. I think employers have been very accountable to their staff. I haven't heard one instance of any organization who have not taken accountability, who have not sort of been putting employees first, and it's really it's been a shining light through all this, I think, for most employees, as they sort of think about their organizations, think about their companies. But this article specifically talks about five things that may not be so obvious. So great leaders have always known that managing by results, objectives, and outcome is a better than managed by people's presence. So the first article we talked about presenteeism, right? Then we talked about actually the benefits that this virtual world has, and how people with hidden skills are able to elevate, how hierarchies are in some ways being eliminated, in a sense that those who are prepared to do the work, those who are prepared to put their hands up, are actually getting recognized. And great leaders have known this and always managed by outcomes. So how do you do this, and how do you make people accountable in this world where it is a virtual world? And there are 5 things that are mentioned here. There's fairness. And fairness, what does fairness actually mean? It's basically paying attention to people who generate results and outcomes they produce, and keep people informed about their teams, about everything that's going on, and getting things done and meeting objectives, right? So if you see people who actually are delivering, who are making accountable, let them know. Let those who know also who maybe aren't delivering, and highlight those who are. Accountability and recognition are connected. Again, it goes on to the same type of thing, right? People who are delivering, are they recognized? Are they improving? Accountability helps people succeed. It sure does. It sure does. And I think each of us have have to just sort of answer that for ourselves. Are we accountable? Are we delivering? Are we doing this for ourselves? Are we providing the service to our teammates, for our organizations? And it's something that I know I ask myself most days. And also open source workplace, am I being accountable? Am I delivering for all those who are contributing to open source workplace? Am I being accountable to those who want to come and view and learn? And accountability ups everybody's game. It sure does as well, right? And it reduces blind spots. If everyone is accountable, everyone's been fully informed, everyone's engaged, and it does help eliminate those blind spots. But I want to finish with this one point here. Holding people accountable is important for individuals to succeed, and for teams and organizations to achieve great performance. So how are you being accountable? How are you looking at this? How are you taking that? How are you holding your team accountable? How are your team being accountable? And as we sort of close out and we sort of loop all this together and sort of think about a conclusion, COVID has provided an opportunity for everybody in an organization to be accountable, to identify their skills, to elevate how people are seeing them. What are you doing to do it? How are you going to be doing that? It's something I have to ask myself every day as well. So look, I'm going to cut it off there. I hope this has been useful. Please do give me a comment. Let me know what was good, what was bad, what you actually kind of want to hear more of. I am working on getting guests on so we can hear other people's perspectives and viewpoints, which I think is really important as we sort of we think about what we're trying to achieve here at Open Source Workplace. So look, please do subscribe, hit that notification bell, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you.